Today guys, we're going to talk about warming up. Warming up has been demonized a lot on social media where people will say, just warm up on the exercises that you're going to perform in your workout. That may be true to some degree, but if you're an older, stiff man like myself who doesn't move too well, there are two benefits that you can expect from warming up. You're going to improve your performance and output, and you're also going to minimize the risk of injury. To me, that is extremely important. The issue where it goes wrong is people sit down on a foam roller or on a trigger ball and they just fluff around for 20 minutes on end, just wasting time. Now today I'm going to walk you through two parts on how to warm up effectively. I'm going to break it down into general and specific. So general in itself is you just getting the heart rate going, increasing your body's core temperature, and getting some blood flow moving. Things I like to do is use a cyclical form of equipment. What that simply means is it could be an air bike, a ski erg, even go for a run or use an ergo row, something that you're going to perform for around 3 to 5 minutes just to get the heart rate going. So I personally like to use the air bike because I've got arms and legs going. I'm getting a bit more of a locomotive pattern where I'm getting some rotation through the thorax. Feels fantastic for me. 3 to 5 minutes is all you need just to get the heart rate going and get the blood moving. So now we're going into the specific part of the warm-up. That's going to be dictated by two things. The first one, what are you actually warming up for? Are you doing a full body session in the weight room, or are you warming up for a grappling or striking or MMA? Those things are going to dictate what are going to be in your warm-up. The second thing, you're also going to pay attention to areas of the body that you personally struggle with. Now for someone like me, it's hips and spine, right? I'm a poor mover, I'm stiff, and if I was going into the weight room and I was performing a full body session, those are key areas for me that I would like to personally pay attention to before I actually move into my full body session. So for the purpose of today, let's put this into context. Let's say we're warming up for a full body session. I'm gonna have some jumping in there, I'm gonna have some throwing and lifting, right? So for me, key areas, if I know I'm gonna be leaving the ground and I'm gonna be really reactive off the floor, I'm probably gonna warm up my foot and Achilles. I'm gonna do things that actually help prepare the tissue for the real world demands of the actual sport or the actual workout so that I can get more juice out of it. So part of this specific phase of the warm-up, I'm going to be working on my spine. This is a complex that I use before my full body sessions. This is just to give you an example of what a specific warm-up looks like. So I'm just going to side bend here. I've got a 5 kilo plate, and I personally like this just to get my ribs expanding and compressing on one side. It also helps with overhead mobility. I'd probably perform around 10 reps in total here. And I'd swap legs, do the same thing on the other side, because I'm going to get into the hip on one side as well. Now, I would run this in a complex. I'm then going to chop the plate across my body, moving my spine at higher velocities now, where I'm actually getting a bit of rotation happening when I'm in this split stance. I'd probably perform 10 reps per side doing this. And from there, I want to take the spine through a bit more rotation, through flexion, extension, and lateral flexion. So I'm going to flex forward, I'm going to trace the line around my foot, I'm going to bring that plate around my head, I'm then going to slouch on one side, getting some lateral flexion, moving that plate around my foot again, coming back up, performing a halo, slouching down again, and I'd probably perform around 10 reps per side. So the next body part I'm focusing on is my hips. Personally, I struggle with hip rotation, so I'm going to choose an exercise that provides the biggest bang for your buck. It's called a wall spindle. This is what it looks like. The difference is I'm not holding onto a wall, I'm using a Smith machine. So I'm just going to come up and lean against the Smith machine here. So I've just got my weight into the Smith machine. I'm then going to start with my heel raised. I'm going to have triple extension. So I'm going to extend my knee, my ankle, and my hip. I'm then going to bend the knee and bend the hip, sitting back into that hip so I get a nice stretch all the way through this lateral part of my glute. I want to turn into that leg slightly or turn into that hip. I want to keep the heel floating at all times. I then want to turn out of the hip, so I'm going to externally rotate and turn out of the hip. And now you can see my pelvis is rotating over the femur. I'm then going to climb my leg, my opposite leg, as if I'm swinging it over a hurdle. I'm then bringing that leg back around up into flexion, and I'm extending my hip and knee simultaneously at the same time. So I'm then going to sit back into the hip, flex the hip, get a good stretch on the lateral hip. I then want to turn out of the hip. So I'm rotating the pelvis over a fixed femur, climbing that leg over, and I'm extending my hip and knee simultaneously in the lockout. I want to get nice and tall in this lockout here. And main points, you don't want to let that heel collapse. So you want to make sure that you've got that heel off the floor at all times. So the next exercise, I'm going to get more specific to the tissues that are going to be involved in, let's say, jumping, squatting, whatever we may be doing in that full body session. So I want to warm up my ankles. I'm going to be doing a weighted penguin walk. Essentially all I'm doing is I'm coming up into plantar flexion, where I'm going to perform a calf raise. I'm then trying to draw that toe towards my face, and I'm just thinking about marching here, where I'm trying to slap my foot to the floor as I'm bringing that toe up towards the face and then pointing that toe back down towards the floor. Okay, this is just going to get the ankles nice and warm. I'm going to use some weight here just to make it a little bit more challenging. I'm going to come up as high as I can. I really want to think about keeping that big toe on the ground. I don't want to roll that foot too much towards the outside. Just want to draw that toe up towards my face. And I don't want to kick my legs out in front of me. I just want to flex at the ankle, making sure my heels don't touch the ground. Now you can walk forward while you do this. You can walk side to side to challenge it. It's really challenging. Now I've ruptured my Achilles tendon during freestyle wrestling practice. So this is a non-negotiable for me in any warm-up that I do before skills practice in combat sports or any full body session that requires jumping. So last part of this specific warm-up, I probably want to get my tissues exposed to higher velocities and deeper ranges of motion. If I'm going to be squatting in my full body session, I want to get there in my warm-up, and I want to make sure that I'm comfortable in those positions. Now, credit to Matt McInnes-Watson. He's a great friend of mine. He's put out some fantastic work through Plus Plyos and his deep tier system, so credit to him. What I'm about to show you is part of his deep tier system. So the first exercise we're going to go through is a deep tier squat. I'm going to be oscillating in the bottom of a squat. So I struggle with getting deep in a squat, and this has been fantastic for me to improve hip flexion and external rotation. I use a counterbalance so I can sit deeper into the position. So I'm going to squat down here, trying to sit back onto my heels. Now, I don't care about the position of my spine here. I want to get comfortable letting my pelvis go where it wants to go. I don't care about flexion. I just want to oscillate in this position here, bouncing out of it like a trampoline, getting my hips exposed to larger ranges of motion in deeper stretch positions at higher velocities. So the next exercise I'm probably going to go through is challenge my front to back stances. Probably going to go into a deep tier switch lunge. I'm still going to use a plate. I'm going to get some rotation over the lead hip, get a bit more internal rotation at that hip. If I've got lunging in my session, I want to make sure that I'm getting comfortable in these positions. Now, with me with shitty hips and a torn groin from BJJ, this is something that really gets the juices flowing. It's something that I personally need before I start loading these positions. So the last part of this jumping series that I would perform as part of my specific warm-up is I'd probably focus on the foot and the Achilles. I'd want to do some more extensive jumping, some low-level jumping, just to prepare the tissue for higher demands when I'm actually working out. In your full body session, you may have some really intense single leg hops or linear bounds. Therefore, you want to make sure that that foot and Achilles is ready to go. So all I'm going to do is perform a pogo. That is just simply hands on the hips. All I'm doing here is thinking about dorsiflexing the ankle. Doing a lot of reps here, probably around 20 reps. Thinking about attacking the floor as I'm hitting the ground. I can then switch my stance, go into an offset leap, where I'm going to bias more of the front leg, get more of a stretch on the rear leg. Can swap sides, do the same thing there, around 10 reps per side, and then I can switch. And I can alternate between these as I'm moving through the warm-up. All I'm doing is exposing that foot to shorter ground contact times so that I can prepare the tissue for higher outputs. So if you are strapped for time, like most people are, and you need to warm up before you work out and you don't want to fluff around, set yourself a timer for 10 to 15 minutes to get through your general and specific warm-ups. 3 to 5 minutes on an air bike, and then devote 10 minutes to your specific warm-up. Remember that it's going to be dictated by two things. What are you trying to warm up for? What is the task that we're trying to prepare the body for? And then secondly, what do you actually struggle with from a movement perspective to get better outputs in your workout? So if you struggle with a particular side of the body that restricts you from, getting into better positions to be able to produce force, you probably want to focus on that in your specific phase of the warm-up. So if you're struggling for exercise selection and you want to carry this into your next warm-up and you need help with exercises, check out a video I filmed on hip mobility for combat sports and training your spine to bend. Thank you guys for watching. That's a wrap. I'll see you on the next one.